further on understanding as to what exactly are the forces. Let's first understand, how do you transfer the charges? Do the charges actually are being created in the universe? Actually not. There is always a conservation of charge. Everything that you see around you is charge neutral. Therefore, it will have equal number of positive charges and equal number of negative charges. So let's first understand about the conservation of charge and the transfer of charge from one body to other.
Hello students, we should always understand that charges are not created, because all the things that we see around us is all neutral. You will not have any excess of charge right from means it will not be created out of anything. Charges are always going to be conserved. So what do we understand by that? The charges, according to the law of conservation of charge, what we understand is that the law of conservation of charge is observed when we talk about an induction. For instance, here what we have is that we have a charged body that is coming close to another uncharged body. So what happens? These are charges that are induced. Induced means the charges aren't there. It's just that just to attract, you can say, the charges that are here are going to induce an opposite charge here. But since this whole object is neutral, an opposite amount of charge is also going to be induced on the other end. In a similar manner, this is something that also takes place when sometimes you do get a kind of static current, right? So this is what is the conservation of charge. So according to the conservation of charge, the overall charge of the system of the universe is always going to be conserved. It is only going to be transferred from one body to another. Now, how do you transfer it? That is what we understand as charging by induction. For instance, if you bring a charged rod near an uncharged body, so as we see, opposite charges are going to be created. Now, when you just touch the other side, the charges are going to be transferred to the hand. Now, what you are going to do is that if you remove the other hand, you are going to be left with only positive charges here, because the negative charges have all been transferred. In a similar manner, now if you have this particular thing, you can see that when you have brought the negative charges, positive charges were induced, and similarly the negative charges were induced on the other plate. So as a result, if you sum up the positive charge and the negative charge, the net charge is still going to be 0. So this is how we transfer it. So this method of transfer of charges is known as charging by induction. So let's try to understand more about it. So in this induction process, what basically happens? A charged body is brought near, but you are not touching it. Mind you, you are not touching it, you are just bringing it near. Okay, so it's brought near but not touched to a neutral conducting object. The presence of a charged object will force or induce electrons within the conductor. So once you have the electrons created, now if you attach this to the ground, all these negative charges are going to move to the ground. Clear? What happens now? The ground now has the negative charges, and here you are only left with positive charges. So the neutrality within the object is lost. So as soon as you remove this object, this positive charge is just going to equally distribute throughout the body, and now the body is going to be positively charged. So this is what is meant by charging by induction. What we are going to do next is that, supposing you do have two charged objects, then how exactly they are going to interact with each other? That is what is known as the Coulombic force. So stay tuned with that.
So students, we understood about what exactly is the conservation of charge. Every body is charge neutral. There is a neutrality everywhere. Therefore, the total amount of positive charge and the total amount of negative charge in the universe is constant. We also learned about how you can transfer charges from one body to other without actually touching the two bodies, that is the charging by induction. Now since we have understood how you can transfer charges, how the bodies get charged without actually touching the bodies, so let's now try and understand further and understand about the forces that exist between any two charged objects.